stretch run, which is exciting. And so really excited to get here, get on the road this week, get down to San Diego, play a very, very, very good opponent in this conference. We've had success for a long time, well coached, well recruited, well developed, and we've got a full task on hand. So we're excited about that. I know the guys in the building have been excited and refueled and re-energized just for the opportunities that lay in front of us, and start with a great week of practice.
Coach, what have you noticed about San Diego State and the change in the offensive structure with Jeff Gordon now as the OC, and what concerns you about Jalen Meade?
Yeah, I mean they've spent the season trying to figure out I think the quarterback position, which many do, all of us do in this profession and in this game. You're trying to figure out the most important piece, and I think they've done a good job of putting their arms around and putting their brains around a young man who can be effective with his feet, and obviously proved last week he can be effective throwing the football to some very talented, talented offensive guys. So they're playing good football, and they'll be excited. They're playing well. They're rallying around him. I think the coaching staff, even Brady, have done a good job.
Do you anticipate Bugfield and Robbins playing Saturday?
Doug will be back at practice this week, yeah. And Aiden will be still this week. We'll see how he feels. So he's still day-to-day, but both those guys are be back at practice, which is good to see.
I noticed Kyle's not listed. How's he doing, and what's the update on him?
Kyle's still day-to-day too.
Yeah.
Doing better than probably we anticipated. It's unfortunate, like we talked about, but another guy who I think will make it back before season's end, which is good. And we didn't know that happened. But excited about that.
Coach, any update on Jeff Weimer and getting him back? I know his sling is off his arm.
Yeah, Jeff's running around.
Yeah.
Jeff's also another guy who's going to be week to week now because he's at the protocol through time for that clavicle, and so we're excited to see him run around and sling off and catch some pat and goes. But he's going to be another guy who's probably going to be week to week. See how he mends here this week.
With the timeliness just of the bye week itself, and obviously having a couple games that didn't go your way, do you try to get the guys to get away from football altogether for like 2 minutes during that bye week, or what's kind of the focus of the last 2 weeks or so?
Yeah, completely. I mean, I think that's the way I was trained. Was you get to this part of the season and you need the monotony, and we've been in this building since the last week of July every day. I mean, we spent just an inordinate amount of time in the season together, and just it gets on top of you after a while. There comes a point you've got to be creative as coaches, as a staff, as a program, when you've got to put a little air between each other and put a little air and change it up a little bit. Change up about now, so we change up our practice plan a little bit. We do some things different in practice. We gave some guys some space, coaches included. I mean, we all get sick of seeing each other sometimes. Got some family time, which is good because it's Halloween. I think that's really important for the staffs that have young kids and be part of that. And so, yeah, we gave some time to these guys to kind of just catch fresh air, get away from each other, get out of the building, and get recharged for this stretch run.
Any guys or coaches in costumes?
One more time.
Any guys or coaches in costumes today?
I have not been. I'm really not far out of my office or staff office right now. I saw one at Starbucks this morning at about 5 this morning, and so reminding me it's Halloween today. But we had a bunch of the staff and kids. We do it once. We do it every year. An annual kind of FFC trick or treat. We got the kids and the staff upstairs during our Sunday night family dinner. They're all dressed up, so it's pretty cool.
You mentioned getting healthy. What does that mean for the guys who are still healthy? What do they do during the bye week if the focus of the team is just trying to get healthy and get back? Do you just protect them a little bit extra during the bye week practice, or what does that look like?
Guys are healthy, stay healthy. I think that's the reason. They're still getting healthy, and then the fundamental pieces are the biggest thing that go hand in hand. If you're not trying to get back to 100%, you're staying at 100%, and then you're still working on fundamentally some things that we make sure we can't let fall by the wayside as we get through the week. Sometimes it's just working on your stuff, the core stuff, versus your offense versus your defense. Some things that we're playing with some guys who don't have a ton of chemistry. We know the last 4 weeks has been a struggle because a lot of the guys were playing and have asked to be put in critical situations. Haven't had a ton of time together, so those guys have had some really good work really in the last 4 weeks, and last week was included.
With Doug being out for just about a month, Is that enough time where you're concerned about him accumulating some rust, or do you think he'll be able to slide back in based on what he's been able to do behind the scenes during that time?
Well, yeah, you always run the risk of guys being out at this level, at this age. I mean, Doug's still in, I think under, just in a double digit starts maybe. You're not talking about a, 10-year NFL vet. So there's going to be rust on any guys, even if it's about a week off, sometimes you get some rust. It happens. And so I think we saw that, on week 3, we had a little bit of rust on the bye week early in the season with some guys. So there's always going to be some little things that you try to work through, some cobwebs maybe that pop up. You try to eliminate those in practice and try to get it ramped up. But I think he'll work his way back in the mix right away, and we'll try to get out those things as fast as we can.
Coach, what about the status of Ricky Johnson? Is he back?
Ricky Johnson will be back at practice this week. Yeah, that's exciting too.
How does that add to the defense, to the secondary?
Yeah, I mean, obviously the defense has been, playing the whole season and done everything since the first day of camp without Ricky, unfortunately. So they've done a nice job of working through each other and get a feel. And now you bring, really now it's about Ricky kind of getting back to Ricky and really making sure he can get back into the mix after being gone so long. And so, but that's exciting to have him back out there. He's a catalyst to our program, as we know. And I know they're excited about it.
How do you envision the kind of running back tandem of Aiden and Courtney working out? Because Courtney looked like he flashed a little bit while Aiden was on the sideline.
Courtney's done a nice job, I think, in some situations throughout the season. I mean, he was playing behind Aiden throughout the course of the season, did some good things. We saw him in a few different games, and to see what he did at Notre Dame and go out there and perform was really exciting. And to see what Jordan did was exciting. So obviously getting those guys more reps and more chemistry within the offense is really good. And if we get Aiden back full steam, I think it's just an added dimension to the group to be able to have more reps, more game experience amongst all of them.
What are you? Sorry.
Where's your confidence level at heading into this week's game?
Good, really good. I'm excited about the work. I think our program's growing. I think our culture's growing. I think the players are they put on film when we're firing on all cylinders. We're pretty our style. We ran into a little bit of a rut here. We've been losing a lot of our explosion, and a lot of our chemistry and production. But that happens when you do that. And so getting back on track with these guys and pushing them and being along with them through this last stretch is exciting.
Having the 2 punts blocked at Notre Dame, is that something that you worry about now that that's on tape? Is that something you anticipate San Diego State maybe coming after punts, or what do you do there to sort of shore that up after having the blocks last week or 2 weeks ago?
Yeah, you just go through the film, just like we had one block at Utah State too. Try to go through and figure out what the scheme was and get it fixed. No different than it is protections, no different than if it's a run scheme, or no different than coverage identification or timing. You're going through each week and trying to find out exactly what you can do a little bit better. Did you get schemed? What part of it? How you fix it? What's the plan? So we've spent some time doing that, which is obviously something that can't happen. Those are hard to change in a game. Those are momentum swingers big time.
Coach, what's the status of Goosen injured at Notre Dame?
Yeah, Goosen's going to be out, unfortunately. It's unfortunate for Rex. He's been through a lot, but we'll be without him.
What did you see on film from your run defense? The last 2 games they got you pretty good. I know you're a little bit thin, but what do you see?
A little bit thin. 2 or 3 really good running backs at Notre Dame. An effective offensive line. Air Force rushing the football. We talked about that. San Jose State rushing the football. Trying to be a little bit thicker up front and hopefully get some guys back. They can hold point there and just got a good job. All those teams that we've had in the stretch run in the middle of this season have been good teams in running football. And so we've got to do a really nice job here at the stretch of knowing exactly where our weaknesses are and playing together and playing on a string from front end to back end.
Is LEL back? If he is, what difference does that make? What does he bring?
Well, I mean, LEL we've seen, and we're all following, did a nice job all season, holding point right in the heart of our defense at the front line. And so he'll be back this week working, so that's exciting. And I think throughout the course of the next 4 weeks we'll get back to full speed. But he's a big part of what we do. We don't have a ton of depth right there that we'd like to have with experience like he's got. And so having him back is a big piece. He's been really productive, as we've seen throughout the course of the first half of the season. And so getting him back for this stretch run will be important.
We talked about Jeff, but how do you feel Nick's done kind of filling in for him, and what have you appreciated about having that kind of experience to be able to come in and play for you guys immediately?
You know, Nick's done a fantastic job, just his maturity and his ability to come right into the offense and kind of not have a ton of mental errors and know what's going on. We move him in some different positions to fill in where, you know, he may not have had a ton of reps with Doug or the starters, but came in and did some good things, you know, and learned on the fly. We knew he's got one season with him really, and to have come in and dispel us like the way we've needed him, obviously still, has been pivotal. So he's really important. I've got a ton of respect for Nick and his game. I wish we had him longer.
What are you doing for Halloween? Hanging with the family, and will you allow yourself to have like one piece of candy?
Yeah, we had the Halloween last night, so that was cool. And then we're giving the staff the opportunity to get some stuff done early here and try to get home to their kids tonight if they're gonna go out. So, if I get out of here and feel like I'm effective on first down after I get a bunch of notes down, then I'll go out and make sure I'm walking around the yard and scaring some kids.
The candy question, what's your favorite candy?
I don't really have a favorite candy. Yeah, no, it's what do I have up there? I think I get into, the Sour Patch Kids are probably my weakness. Not too crazy though. I gotta give them away a lot. I gave way too much candy out yesterday to all the kids, so I'm sure the coaches have an issue. Or the families do.
Anything else? Thank you.
Thanks, have a good day.
You guys have 4 games left. You have a chance to do something that hasn't been done here in quite a while, which is get bowl eligible and go to a bowl game. Can you just talk maybe about just where the team's mindset is and the level of excitement, enthusiasm, whatever it may be as you head toward this last part of your regular season? Leif, could you start, please?
Yeah, so I think our team's mindset is in a really good spot, especially coming off of a bye week. I think everyone's recharged and getting healthy. I think going 7 weeks straight or 8 weeks straight is really hard task, only because of we deal with a lot of injuries and we have that next man up mindset. So I think with looking for these next 4 weeks, I think we're going to do really good, especially with everyone coming back healthy and everyone taking a step back, especially with this bye week. So I think we're in a good spot.
Kyle, is it easier to focus now that you've got this window of 4 games left to play and you kind of know what you need to do? You control your own destiny as a program?
I mean, I think the focus has kind of been the same all year. We always try to take it one game at a time. That's the 1-0 mindset that we always talk about. So I just think for us, the biggest thing is just tomorrow starting with that first practice of the week and then taking it day by day and just trying to keep it one step at a time, because when you get the scope too big, sometimes you lose focus. So I just think finishing this week out the right way and then preparing for San Diego State is the first step.
What does a bye week look like to you guys? You know, what kind of things change and what stays the same from like a game week, personally?
I think the thing that stays the same is the speed of our practice. The thing that we do is just take off our shells and put on spiders. The intent is still the same. The speed is still the same. It's just the mindset of just, you know, taking a step back and trying to regroup our bodies and get our bodies back, but at the same time still have the same speed of the game as it would be for a game week.
Leif, what have you seen from Doug just being back out there with you guys in Spiders? Just what have you seen from him, his demeanor around the building?
Well, just having him on the field, you know, is kind of really good, like, energy. I think with him on the field, especially on Thursday, I think when we had that move to football period, it's just having him on the field gives us that swag that we need when we need to play as an offense. So having him on the field at practice just gives everyone, like, another, I don't know, motivation, I guess.
Question for both of you guys is, when you're coming off a bye week, how, maybe not tough, but how do you kind of recreate that urgency or sense of urgency for the last couple of weeks, and obviously having a couple of games that didn't go your way, but how do you sort of recreate that, get that spark back?
I mean, kind of like I had mentioned before, we always just kind of have the same mindset going into each week, and I don't think that changed with the bye week. Leif said it, with the intent and the speed of practice, it's kind of been the same. So I don't think it's going to be an issue for us to like ramp back up in the game week, just because we have pretty much been working the same the past week. So just got to keep rolling.
I think with motivation, I think, especially with these last 4 weeks, what we can do with that, these last 4 games, how we can possibly play in the Mountain West Championship and stuff like that. So I think using that bye week as a, refresher and kind of seeing what we can be, like, we're 4-4 right now. So I think that the goal is still, all of our goals are still ahead of us. So I think with that in mind and being set in the team room, I think that would really help us achieve our goals.
For Leif, you mentioned with Doug back, energy, things like that. What about the mechanics of everything, having Doug back? When it comes to cadence, your job as a center, as opposed to having 2 different guys over the last couple of weeks?
Yeah, I think with Doug back there, he does a really good job of just, quarterbacking things up. Especially with my job, it makes my job easier. He can see things that I normally don't see at the line of scrimmage. Like he can see some safety rotation. But I think with him back there, I can focus on the guards and the tackles, more of what our job is instead of, trying to flip protection and stuff like that. So having him back there, I can rely on some of his decisions. So, yeah.
Did you have a lot more on your plate with Friel and Bailey in there?
I mean, there were some times where I had to take a little more ownership in terms of protection-wise and flipping protection and stuff like that. But I think that they, in terms of my load, I had to put a little more on my plate only because of this is their first time playing this year. So I think that putting that into perspective, I think my job had to take a little more.
Do you guys have any costume plans for tonight?
Nope, not right now.
You guys think you're gonna get one?
I'll probably
Sit this
go.
one out.
I'll probably go to Party City, go find something my size. I don't know.
Leif, what do you see in a 3-3-5 defense from San Diego State? And on film, how is it different than what New Mexico does?
Well, that defense kind of started in New Mexico and then made its way back to San Diego State with Brady Hoke and all them. But I think the tendencies are still the same with they kind of play odd, that 3-3-5 out of 4-3. But that defensive structure is still the same as New Mexico. It's just the different patterns that they bring and stuff like that. So we just got to lock in on protections and be able to run the ball, especially with Fresno with having 1 yard of rushing. But I think it should be a really good week for the offensive line.
Marcus mentioned kind of getting away during a bye week a little, taking some time away from football. Were you guys able to find any time, and did you do anything kind of special if you did get that time?
The new Call of Duty just came out, so I did that a little bit. But
Yeah.
I mean, besides that, we still had our practices and stuff and a couple lifts, and then usually when we come back for meetings, we got that off. So I think the guys took advantage of being able to go home and just kick back, and like Leif was saying, just being able to get your bodies back is really important. So I think the guys really enjoyed that, and I think that'll be beneficial moving forward.
Yeah, I think. Oh, sorry.
What did you think about San Diego State's game against Fresno State and just their quarterback, the way he's able to run the ball and he seems explosive?
I mean, there's a lot of guys in this conference that are dual threat guys. So I mean, and we've faced them before this year. So I think game plan wise, we don't have to put in a bunch of new stuff. But he's a good player, and they got a good O line. They like to run the ball, and we pride ourselves on stopping the run. So it should be a good matchup this weekend.
Kyle, along those lines, it seems the last couple of games for you guys, short yardage situations defensively, it's kind of swung the other way, right? Beginning of the year, you guys were really successful. Hasn't been that way. What's kind of been the change? What have you seen from your perspective?
I think it just comes down to execution. So, I mean, sometimes it may be a play call that we wish we would have had, but I mean, whatever's called, on paper it should work. So it's just up to us to execute the play. And I think that's kind of, we've kind of lost that a little bit in certain situations. But yeah, that's pretty much it.
Can you talk about just guys being more healthy this week, getting more guys back this week, how that's an advantage for you and the defense right now?
I mean, it definitely helps, just having depth. it helps in practice. So, I mean, there's more guys getting the reps. There's guys not taking all the reps, which sometimes can be a problem. And I feel like there's more of a confidence going around knowing that we have a lot of people healthy and back, and it's the same thing with the offense, having those guys back. So it just feels good to have full rooms again.
Kyle, you were on the punt team, right? What has been changed schematically, you know, with the punt team? Did you work on a lot of that?
We definitely did do a lot of punt stuff this week. I don't want to say that we changed schematically because that stuff goes on Twitter and then I get in trouble.
I'm ready.
But I think we definitely don't take that as a joke or anything. Like, we definitely work on that, and that's been one of our main focuses over the bye week, and we've been working on some things to get that squared away.
Call of Duty worth?
I think so. Somewhat. We'll see.
Thank you.
Thank you guys.